to make education more affordable and accessible to Hawaii's Kekian students. Facilitated questions and answers with media will follow promptly after remarks conclude. Without further ado, it is my honor to welcome Governor Josh Green.
Aloha. Aloha. Good to see you guys. Thank you. Thank you for being here. This is a terrific part two of the bill signing day, and I just want to thank everyone for coming out from both the legislature, from advocacy, and DOE leaders. Thank you. Good to see you, brother. It's important to Jamie and me that we really support education, and we believe education is a right for everyone. So we're going to come from two different angles today. Before I go much further, though, we've got Senator Kim. Thank you, Donna, for being here, for taking on double duty with two huge committees, and to be here twice today. I really appreciate it. Yes, good to see you, Madam President. Yes, fabulous. Sorry we went through all that. Yeah. And then Andrew, great to see you again, too. To have leadership from the House and Senate, phenomenal. Daniela, thank you for supporting these bills and for pushing us along for equity when it comes to society. It's really special. I appreciate that, too. Okay, so we're going to dive in now. What Jamie and I wanted to express today, First Lady's here because it's that important, is that let's go to the first bill, actually, HB 2338. Hawaii Promise. This goes back a ways to when I was lucky enough to serve in the Senate. We're pushing Hawaii Promise, and we want to make it clear that when young people get an opportunity to go to college, any variety of college, they tend to do better for themselves. They have better opportunities economically, but it's not cheap at all, as we know. In this case, Hawaii Promise is meant to give everyone an opportunity to go to community college. But because of the way loans are structured, all the costs aren't always covered. And there are some unintended consequences we found that certain loans end up deflecting people's ability to get other resources. So the legislature, in their wisdom with great input, decided that we would make sure that scholarships would cover 95% of all eligible unmet direct education costs. That's what you see right there. So it excludes outside grants and scholarships when we're calculating how to make sure kids, young adults, get all of their costs covered. And if people go through and get these degrees, my gosh, they're so well positioned in our society. So college doesn't have to be for everybody, but boy, I think it should be at least available if people choose it. So we're doing that, and this coordinates with a lot of the changes that are going on federally. We want to maximize the assistance. Jamie and I have a kid in college. We see the big costs. We see it across society every day. It's just unbelievable. So thank you guys for doing this. Super important. And the next slide. So this is the other side of education, which is, so we see that we want to give kids an opportunity to get an education, community college, all sorts of degrees, but also to get there, they have to be ready and they have to be nourished. One of the ongoing challenges we've had is hunger in society, particular pediatric or children's hunger. It's extraordinary, and we talk about this a lot at home, that Hawaii still hasn't moved into the upper tiers of success to make sure every kid is able to avoid hunger. There are families out there that are still making decisions whether or not to pay their medical bills or to pay grocery bills. We know that from our food bank friends, there are a lot of families that are choosing, the adults are choosing to forego meals for a whole 24-hour cycle to make sure their children are fed. That's the kind of sacrifice any parent would make. It should never be necessary. So what we are talking about at home is finding a way to gradually get to the place where all school meals are covered. It is a process. We know that we also have to make sure that we do it in a way that we can actually implement it properly. So this is like year 2 of this. And what this bill does, HB 2296, it reduces the cost of school meals significantly. It lowers the minimum school meal price threshold from 50 to 25% for production costs. What this means is the Department of Education has more flexibility to lower costs for families. We already wanted to make sure there was no stigma attached to getting school lunches. There just shouldn't be. This is one of those basic things, because if kids have lunch and have meals, they study better, they perform better, their outcomes are better, and then they end up thriving. So this is going to help with food costs for all families. Let's flip one more slide. Oh, that's just Lilo putting the thing around my head. Okay. Every kid matters in Hawaii. Some kids are superstars and they're thriving, and some kids are living in a family that's in an Alice family situation, paycheck to paycheck. And so I just want to emphasize the many things that the legislature did in the last couple of years that we were honored to be a part of. Taxes started coming down for working families very significantly, over $5 billion of tax cuts for working families. I'm so grateful that those working class tax cuts stayed in place. It's about $4,000 per family per year, $300 or so extra a month, which will pay for meals, pay for rent. Super important. Just a couple days ago, the legislature gave me a bill, which was fantastic, where there's $91 million of debt, medical debt that people have been carrying on their books. That meant that their credit ratings were bad and they were paying higher interest rates. It also meant they weren't going to see the doctor or the pediatrician because they were afraid of the next bill. The legislature bought up that debt for pennies on the dollar, and now it's going to be gone. And then finally, we're taking on some other big issues like energy costs. These are not easy questions. I know, everyone. These are tough challenges because affordability is our biggest, threat in the state of Hawaii. But between the housing successes that they've given us, this kind of very, very thoughtful legislation on food for children, making sure college is more affordable, I really believe we're headed in the right direction. These are incremental positive changes, but they start adding up very significantly so that ultimately Hawaii becomes an affordable place for all. That's really the goal today, and I'm just grateful to everyone for contributing so much. Aloha.
Mahalo, Governor. Next, I'd like to introduce Senator Donna Mercado Kim, Chair of the Senate Committee on Education.
Aloha, everyone. I wish that we could have free education and free higher education for everyone. But as you know, sometimes finances and being able to pay for that, it just does not necessarily allow it, and somebody has to pay. But in this case, in House Bill 2338, the Hawaii Promise, every student, as much as we can, deserve the ability to have higher education, regardless of their stature, regardless of the financial situation of their families. And I know that for a fact because growing up, I'm a middle child, and my parents couldn't afford to send me away to school. And if it wasn't for scholarships, I probably wouldn't have been able to graduate from college. And so these bills are very important. This bill updates and strengthens the Hawaii Community Promise Program to align with recent changes in the federal Pell Grant requirements while preserving students' eligibility for federal financial aid. A lot of times the feds will pass rules and regulations, and it has to come down to us. And if we don't comply, then they lose the ability to qualify. And so that's why this bill is so important. It allows the students to maximize both federal and state financial assistance. It covers educational expenses without jeopardizing the federal aid eligibility, and ensures that Hawaii Promise is administered in compliance with federal law. And so by reducing financial barriers to earning a degree, workforce credentials, we're investing in our students, and we're strengthening Hawaii's workforce. I really want to thank the University of Hawaii, I think our new president, for all the efforts that she's making in getting our high school kids to automatically be able to go to college, go to the University of Hawaii, and I really want to thank you guys for all that you do. As far as the next bill, House Bill 2296, our DOE mills, again, you always hear that. Students shouldn't go to school on an empty stomach. And I know growing up, a lot of times, you grab a glass of milk or you just grab a fruit because that's all you have to eat. And so having been at the DOE schools, I noticed that they do breakfast now. They have, and then lunch, and then even snacks. And so I think it's great that they're able to do that. I think the challenge is how do you prepare really good meals that students want to eat? They don't necessarily want to eat the nutritious meals. And so how do we do that? And I think that's the challenge. But certainly this bill will not force the DOE to have to raise the price. We adjusted that so that there's a lot more flexibility. We reduced that threshold. And so by lowering that threshold encourages greater student participation in the school meal program, ensuring that our keiki receive the nutritious meals that they need in order to succeed. And I want to thank the First Lady for her efforts in that, in making sure that our kids get nutritious meals. I think that's so important. And so we really need to invest in our health and well-being of our students, as well as the educational portion of our students, so that we can strengthen the whole child and get great outcomes. So I want to thank all the advocates for these bills. Thank you. And Governor, thank you for signing them.
Mahalo, Senator Kim. Now please welcome Representative Andrew Garrett, Chair of the House Committee on Higher Education.
Okay. Good afternoon, Governor, First Lady, Senator Kim, President Hensel, Superintendent Hayashi, distinguished guests, colleagues, and everyone joining us today. Governor Green and Senator Kim have already talked about the important work that these bills accomplish, so what I'd like to do is take a moment to reflect on what they actually represent. Education has always been one of Hawaii's wisest investments. Today's bills remind us that student success doesn't begin at graduation. It begins by removing barriers that stand in a student's way long before they earn a diploma. House Bill 2338 strengthens the Hawaii Promise program by helping students meet the real cost of college. House Bill 2296 helps ensure our keiki have access to nutritious meals so they're ready to learn each day. Although these measures serve students at different stages of their educational journey, they share a common purpose. They expand opportunity from the classroom to college to meaningful careers and ultimately to stronger communities. As chair of the House Higher Education Committee, I've had the privilege of visiting all 10 campuses within the UH system, and I've heard directly from students, faculty, staff, and administrators. Whether it's at Hawaii Community College in Hilo, or at UH Maui College in Kahului, or at Windward Community College, right here on Oahu, one message has been remarkably consistent. Talent is everywhere in Hawaii. Opportunity should be as well. I've met students working full-time while taking classes at night. Students raising families while earning a degree. Students who were the first in their family to attend college. And students who simply needed someone to believe that higher education was within their reach. Those conversations have reinforced something I believe deeply. Our responsibility isn't just to educate students, it's to create pathways for them to succeed. It's to make sure that circumstances never determine potential. When we remove barriers to learning, we don't just change individual lives, we strengthen families. We develop the workforce our employers need. We create opportunities for our young people to build their futures right here at home. And we build a stronger Hawaii for generations to come. Today's bill signing also reminds us what's possible when the legislature, the administration, the University of Hawaii, the Department of Education, and our community partners work together toward a shared purpose. Education is not a series of separate systems. It is one continuous journey, from our youngest learners to our college students to the workforce that drives Hawaii's economy. Today's bills are another step on that journey. Mahalo to Governor Green, Senator Kim, my colleagues in the legislature, our partners in education, and everyone who helped bring these measures across the finish line. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Representative Garrett. Our final speaker, Daniela Spoto, Hawaii Appleseed Deputy Director and Director of Food Equity.
Aloha, everyone. First, I want to thank the governor, the First Lady, our legislative champions for bringing us here today to talk about these bills. I want to in particular talk about HB 2296 and its importance for school meals. As other people have discussed, working families are feeling their budgets squeezed now more than ever. School meals are critical not just for the students that rely on them for their nutrition, but they are also critical for the parents, the struggling parents that are struggling to afford groceries every single day. This issue is actually personal to me. As a single mom with 2 teenage boys in public school at home, I spend $140 a month on school meals. And that's on top of my already ever-growing grocery bill. The last thing parents like myself need is an increase to these costs, and HB 2296 fixes the unnecessary administrative rule that would have pushed us in that direction. But as we celebrate this administrative fix, we have to remember that it's one piece of a much larger puzzle. 4 years ago, a coalition of advocates that included my organization, Hawaii Appleseed, but also several others in the room, pushed for a vision for universal free school meals for every single child in Hawaii. Last year, our coalition grew. It included the voices of students and teachers and parents, and ultimately we were able to secure a historic down payment on that vision that extends access to thousands more families through the passage of last year's Act 139. Today, HB 2296 protects that foundation and paves the path for us to continue the fight towards universal free school meals. We see this signing not as a conclusion, but as a bridge that will eventually lead toward universal access for every single student in Hawaii, including those in charter schools and those who currently fall through the cracks of a bureaucratic application process. Because if even one child is left hungry, that's one child too many. Our work is not done, but HB 2296 is a big step in the right direction. We look forward to working with this administration and the legislature next session to finally cross that finish line. Thank you.
Okay. Mahalo, Daniela. At this time, I'd like to welcome the governor and the first lady and our state legislators and any key stakeholders up to the podium. There's no media Q&A. See, when the bills are super, oh no, nobody has questions.
That's exactly what I said.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, as people come up, but you know, it occurred to me that one of the themes that people should understand is that a lot of the bills that we've been passing the last few days are, in a way for us to get a very good return on investment for people. And when kids are hungry or families feel like they just can't get by and they leave the state, we have so many new challenges. So the legislature's been very prudent in investing in important things that are going to make people's lives better. So that's really the theme. I should probably grab those from you. Okay. Yeah, perfect. So the first bill that we're going to sign is relating to the Hawaii Community College Promise Program. As you heard, this provides the necessary changes to make sure the program really covers people's costs. And it's really just been wonderful, as Andrew shared, to see the campuses, to talk and hear the stories for people who are improving their lives in so many different ways. And it's wonderful to imagine that there won't be barriers. So I'm honored to sign this, and I thank the people that put the program together in the first days. And then our second bill, which really touches our hearts because the meals that people get are often at school, and one story that Jamie and I have talked about quite a lot and really touched us was during the federal shutdown, when a whole additional array of people didn't have adequate resources for food. It was incredible how much support was necessary to keep people from going hungry. And at the same time, we imagined that the only meals some people were going to get for their children safely were going to be at schools. And so that's why folks at Appleseed and the legislature and all of you are really on the mark to press us to make sure that no matter what happens in society, and because there are going to be moments when there are shutdowns or other challenges, as long as kids can go to school and get fed, we at least feel there's some safety and security for them. So this is really fantastic, and expect us to get there over the course of the next several years completely.
This formally concludes today's program. Mahalo e malama.
Some more formal photos without this big